Welcome back, everybody. Canes Local, episode number 1 of season 3. Today we'll talk preseason, prospects, PTO free agency, and a lot more coming up next. All right, guys, welcome back. Ooh, season 3. Holy smokes. I can't believe we've been doing this for 3 years. It's time flies, man. I tell you, it's fun to chat it up. That's for dang sure. So let's just, I guess, dive right in. I mean, preseason's underway and a lot of things happening inside the camp with the team. I mean, from the standpoint of what prospects are going to cut the line, make the lineup, if any. Stankoven at 2C. We'll get perspective on that. So I think let's just start with the team in general and get thoughts. Well, I guess let's start with Stankoven at 2C. What's the thoughts there and how do we feel about it?
Gonna be interesting. I think he has all of the defensive capabilities to play that 2C role. He thinks the game very highly. He's good defensively. It reminds me a lot of Seth Jarvis. The only difference is, and I could be wrong in this, but I'm pretty sure he played center in juniors, where Jarvis was more of a winger still in juniors. And so the transition for Jarvis to go over to a center is going to be a lot more difficult than I think it will be for Stankoven, which is why I really like what Rod has done here. I will say there are some worrisome things for me. One being his size. Yes, we love our short kings here in Raleigh, North Carolina, it seems to be, but at the end of the day, will his size hinder him at any point during the year, especially at a center role where we see it with Florida, we see it with a lot of other teams. And I always use Florida kind of as the stepping stone because that's the defending back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. But Barkov at first line center, they got Sam Bennett second line center, and then they have I'm blanking on the third line center, but they got 3 guys that are
Anton Lundell.
Lundell. Yeah. 3 guys over 6 foot tall. And so it's like, does that hinder what he's capable of doing? I don't know. Is it going to hurt us in any way? I don't know. And I think those are all questions that Rod has as well too. I don't know if this is like a guarantee he's going in that 2C role. I think this is more of a trial and error segment and just kind of seeing if it works in preseason. But yeah, that's kind of my 2 thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think it's more of if it works, which again, I agree with Kyle. I don't know. It's a question mark. I mean, you never really know. I mean, I know he's played center basically his whole junior career and throughout. I think he played center with the Texas Stars too in the AHL. I'm pretty sure he played center there too. But it's a big transition going to the NHL. So we'll see, but it can't. Well, I say it can't, but knock on wood, I don't think it can be any worse than what Kotkaniemi's kind of provided, the past couple of years. I like Kotkaniemi too, but I think 2C is a stretch for him. I think he's a good 3C and a very solid 4C. I think that's kind of where he caps out at, but yeah, 2C is a bit of a stretch for him, so we'll kind of see, and it'll also play into account if it does work out, then the Canes can focus on other areas where they're like, okay, we got our 2C solidified, so we can build elsewhere. So
yeah, I know.
I'm laughing because I bring my Mega Coke into the fucking
I know. 8 liters.
I get an IV for next show, but
yeah,
I think Stankoven, I think is, for me, I think is what he brings back. Yeah, he's not big. He's not a big guy, but he's stronger, I think, than Kotkaniemi is. He's more agile. He's got more agility. He can, and Rod even said it in his interviews. He said, he's got to be willing to accept that responsibility of that center role, and that's a hard role to do. Against guys like a Sam Bennett or guys against Connor McDavid's of the world and Draisaitl's of the world, and that's a tall task for a young player. Let's not forget he's 22, 23 years old, and he's got all the capabilities to do it. It's just a matter if he can do it consistently night in and night out. But but I think he's in the right room to learn from guys like Jordan Stahl, and Jordan Stahl taught Sebastian Aho how to be center. I mean, let's be honest, and Rod did too. Don't get me wrong, but he's learning from the best too, in my opinion, some of the best centermen in the NHL. So I don't know if that he'll stay there, but I think that Rod talked about, because we talked about Jarvis going there, but even in Rod's interviews over the summer, he said, why would you take one of the best players at his position out of that position? And I agree with him. I said, he's a winger.
Yeah.
And can he play center? Absolutely. That's like the same argument could be made for, okay, Jacob Slavin, we need to have him as our 2C. Oh yeah, he's our best. He could play it, but he's our best player at his position. So why would we do that? So there'd be a really stretch on a comparison, but let's leave the wingers as they are, because Jarvis he's really capable and exceptional on the wing, and putting him down the middle, I think, makes us worse, just because of what he can do. So anyways, so we'll see. They got game.
I'm pretty sure he will be playing as the first line center against Tampa tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So he's the four centers we have listed down for that game is Logan Stankoven, Tyson Yost, Justin Robidas, and Skylar Brindamore. So out of those four, he's probably going to be the top line center. So, I mean, he's going to get a good matchup, because I haven't seen Tampa Bay's lineup, but at least he's going to get those minutes.
Yeah.
He's going to get those reps at that center role.
When we played Tampa last year, I'm pretty sure they played like their full lineup.
The first game they did, yeah. Yeah.
Remember? Yeah, they played like their whole starter, like everybody.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking like they started oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. It's been too many months now.
They started Kucherov, Braden Point. They started, Hedman.
Literally everybody. Hedman, like everybody.
Vasilevsky played in that. So,
but you kind of, at this point, you hope they do, because then it'll give you a good gauge of like, okay, can he hang with these guys?
Yeah.
Like you're not asking him to win 70% of the faceoffs, but if you can go 50-50 with, a guy like, pretty sure Point's the guy that would be the center on that line.
Point's
like
the first line center.
If you could go 50-50 with Braden Point, I mean, the sky's the limit. You're 22 years old. Like, you're only going to get better.
Yeah, the thing with Stankoven too is that at a bare minimum, he's going to produce more offensively than KK has been able to do up to this point, or at least you hope. Yeah, of course, there's limitations once you go into that center role, because you don't have as many offensive chances, and you're more relied on to be that defensive anchor. But the big thing that I really like about his game that I think can really add to the value is he's fast. He's a lot faster than KK is. And so you look at these centers that are the top centers in the league. You have Nathan McKinnon's, you have, Connor McDavid's, Sidney Crosby's. They all carry the puck up the ice with a ton of speed, and that's what makes them so viable and so useful. And I think that, not saying that Stankoven's going to be a McDavid or he's going to be a Crosby or anybody like that, but he has that speed that he can carry through the middle of the ice, where I feel like Kotkaniemi sometimes struggles with that speed.
Yeah.
Now, do I think KK is probably a little bit better defensively than Stankoven is? Sure, maybe right now, but I also just haven't seen Stankoven in this level of responsibility. Yeah. So that's all my 2 cents in on Stankoven at that.
So let's go back to your point about the lineups. Cam, you mentioned it last year that Tampa brought their full lineup against sort of our American League lineup. Said, and I don't know, maybe I'd love to know the answer to this question. So if anybody is listening knows the answer, let us know. But I wonder if the coaches talk about that and say, okay, look, we're gonna present all of our rookies and guys that are sniffing at the lineup, and we want you to bring your full Monty and see where they stack up against them. So I don't know if
because the game right after, because we played a back-to-back against Tampa, and the game following, we played pretty much our entire starting lineup, and they played 90% of their rookies as well too.
Okay.
And I just know from experience, even just having the junior games here as like part of the not coaching staff, but a part of that portion of it, that they will communicate with each other being like, hey, listen, I want to see, because what you're really trying to test is like, okay, if you're going to stand out against the rookies, sure, maybe you're just the best rookie. But if you're going to stand out in games where they're playing their full lineup, and yeah, those guys aren't going 100%, but even an NHLer going at 75% is going to be better than 95% of rookies. And so you want to really get a good gauge as far as like, okay, this guy has what it takes in order to make this lineup. We really need to give him a better look, or, you know, this guy is just, he's not close. He needs more seasoning, he needs more time. And a lot of times after the first 2 games, you'll see some cuts be made because you'll see that like coaches will be like, no, like, unfortunately, he just doesn't have what it takes at this point, whether it's speed, whether it's mentality, whether it's how he thinks the game, you know, his capabilities, shooting, that kind of stuff, that you'll see that right away. And that's why I know for a fact they have to be talking about it, especially because John Cooper and Rod are good buddies. They communicate with each other consistently. Rod has come out and said that him and John Cooper talk to each other a lot. John Cooper says that him and Rod talk a lot. So clearly they have some sort of a communication between the two of them. But yeah, I mean, they're definitely talking to each other because, again, you want to see we have a full, basically, rookie lineup going in for tomorrow's game outside of a couple guys. I mean, we have Taylor Hall, we have Jackson Blake, we have Tyson Yost, we have Stankoven, Nikishin, maybe, but
I mean,
Nikishin's still kind
maybe,
of that
but
rookie.
even he's still pretty much a rookie at this point.
So, I mean, outside of that, I guess we can just kind of go through the whole lineup just to get it out there. But we have Gavin Bayreuther. Sorry if I mispronounced that. I have never heard of this guy. Bradley Nadeau, Felix Ungersorum, Noel Gunler, Giovanni Smith, Justin Robidaw, Jackson Blake, Tyson Yost, Caden Primo's probably going to get the start, I'm assuming. Olivier Kylington, Kevin Labanc. So a couple of those PTO guys as well too, and Oliver and Kevin
and Giovanni.
Those guys are getting a chance. And Giovanni, yes, too. Charles-Alexis Legault. Yep. I butchered the shit out
he's
of
good.
that
He's
one.
big too.
Is he? Okay.
He's really good. Like I watched the rookie showcase. I watched most of the games, but he, in my mind, he has the opportunity to be that seventh defenseman.
Guy?
The seventh defenseman this year. Like, no disrespect to Mike Riley. I think that's his name. Riley, but that Legault, man, he's going to be really good. His size and speed already, just having 1 year in the A under his belt. I mean, he is. I see why they get rid of Morrow. Honestly, I see it.
We got Joel Nystrom, Taylor Hall, Skylar Brendamore, Ruslan Kazayev, the other goalie. And then Fensori, who we saw a little bit last year as well too. Which I really like Fensori's game. He's just really undersized.
He is very.
Yeah,
small.
that's the only negative on that guy. Honestly,
if he was 4 inches taller, he'd be an NHLer right now.
He'd be on a roster right away. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be top 6 somewhere. I don't know if he'd be here, but
I hate that's a factor, but it really is a factor.
It's a big
factor, especially on the D side.
Yes. Talk about that though. Let's talk about that for a second. If he's that good, is he defensively that good, or is he offensively good enough to say, okay, you take a forward, make him a defenseman make him a forward. I mean, if he's that good offensively, why not try him? Why doesn't he take a sniff at playing forward? I mean, he may make
I think he's on the cusp.
Yeah.
And he's played D his whole life. So that's where I think it is he's on the cusp right now. He's one of those guys that he needs to have enough offensive plus side to his game to make up for the defensive downsides. Not that I think there's a ton of defensive downsides, but we saw it in the games that he played right at the end of the year where there are times where he gets exposed for his size and his strength. And that just happens. I can't remember who we played, but they had one big forward that just outmuscled them to the net. And Freddie ended up having to come up with a big save, but it's one of those things where it's like, hey, that's an issue when it comes, playoff time where you're playing against big guys all the time. It's like, okay, now if he's putting up points like say Adam Fox is, where he's putting up 90 points a season, yes, okay, now those defensive lapses, you're like, okay, sure, he lets up 50 offensive chances against the whole season where it leads to goals. Well, sure, but he's also creating 90 points plus. So it's like, okay, you kind of take that trade-off a little bit. But as of right now, I just don't think there's enough plus to his offensive game in order to make up for that defensive downfall, which is just his size. Because if he was bigger and stronger, he's a really good – I mean, he's good positionally. He's got a good stick. He's got good hockey IQ. It's just that he gets out-muscled from time to time, and that's the only thing that's really holding him back. I have not seen this Legault guy, but I need to go watch him. I'm gonna write his name down.
I'm
so I
telling
can
you, man.
get him.
Like, it kind of worries me a little bit because it's, the top 6 for the Canes is kind of really solid at this point. And it makes me worry that he might request a trade at some point just because of he is that good. Like, he has taken from last year to this year, he's taken like 8 steps in the right direction. Like, he is, man, I'm telling you, like, he is, you kind of get like the eye candy on some guys, like where you'll see a guy, and you're just like, man, he has it. Like, you can just tell like right away that he has it, and he does, man. Last year he looked good, but this year he looks even better. And
Yeah.
again, time will tell, but hopefully in the game tomorrow that we watch, you'll be able to see how good this guy actually is. He's the real deal. He will be very good. He'll be a top 6 defenseman on some NHL team at some point. I hope it's the Canes, obviously, but who knows?
He's a right shot defenseman, which is a positive because
that's what I mean. Like, he's exactly what the Canes need right now. He is, man.
The other thing I'm thinking too, and this is no disrespect to the player individually, I just think that in the grand scheme of things, is he the best in our top 6? I don't know, but with a guy like Alexander Nikishin coming in, and with the expectations that we're going to get the offensive numbers that we got out of him in the KHL, where he's going to start running the power play here shortly, he's going to be kind of the guy that we go to for all those offensive stats. Does a guy like Shane Gostisbehere all of a sudden kind of start seeing himself outside of the lineup, being that 4th left-handed shot guy, in my opinion? I mean, Slavin's ahead of him. Again, Nikishin is one of those question marks where, if we get what we saw in playoffs, he's already ahead of him with no disrespect to Shane Gostisbehere, but this like Nikishin is next level. He's going to be a superstar in this league. And now we have Keandre Miller, who that's one of those ones where I think inside of our system, he's going to thrive. Yes. Did he have an off year last year? Absolutely. But who on New York did not have an off year last year?
The Rangers,
everybody in
awful.
they were awful as a whole.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting him to have a huge bounce back season as well too. So do we see a guy like a Shane Gostisbehere kind of on the outside looking in, especially because we know Rod and his love for having a right shot, left shot defenseman combo. So how long into the season before we see that he wants to make a switch out of that? And Mike Riley's another left shot defenseman, so it's not going to be Mike Riley coming into the lineup. So if this guy is, and again, I haven't seen him. I'm not going to lie, I don't watch a ton of the AHL. Maybe I should a little bit more in my
I don't either.
Unlimited free time that I have. Should watch more AHL games. But if that's the situation, then I unfortunately that's one of those guys that I see that Gostisbehere could be that guy kind of on the outside looking in. But right now, what's saving him is that I don't think Rod has faith in Nikishin to run the power play.
Yeah, I know
which is no disrespect.
Yeah, they
to him.
still got Ghost as pivot in that first power play unit, at least in the first handful of days of training camp. And they did have Nikishin, and they had 2 defensemen running on the power play for the second unit.
It was Miller.
So
they did.
So it's a little different look. I don't think they normally go with a 2 defenseman look, but at the same time, you can't argue with what Nikishin did in playoffs. I mean, we got a real small sample size, so I guess we can't get too crazy. But I tell you, that sample size looked pretty damn good. So hopefully it continues to progress the way it's progressing. So anyways, couple of injuries. Nothing. I don't think anything to be real scared about. But Slavin's out. More for maintenance. I think he's probably not going to see the ice in preseason. Last I heard and last I read.
He doesn't.
I know he doesn't need to. I'm just saying he probably won't.
Right.
And then the same for Chatfield. I think he's gonna stay on the shelf at least through the first.
I think he's got that. Yeah, he's got that hip thing going on. I'm pretty sure it's from the playoffs last year. I don't know what he did to his hip, but I think he's still dealing with it.
So
unfortunately, but
they'll get some additional rest. They won't see much in the way of game action through training camp and preseason. So, but I know we talked about a few prospects, but other than the ones we've talked about, I mean, Bradley Nadeau I think he should have a legitimate opportunity, or be considered, but again, I think Kyle, you and I've talked about it, and Cam, you and I have talked about it offline. It's like, who does he replace? I mean, so I mean, that's the question. Who comes out of the lineup? I mean, I know you can argue with guys like, gosh, I'm forgetting his name now. Centerman that came to us last year, went on a scoring tear, and Mark Jankowski.
Yeah.
Sorry. My apologies to Mark, but does he slide out, and does he come in, and do you want him in a fourth line, potentially a fourth line role, or do you want to keep him running the show in the American League?
I mean, that's one of those tough ones because I, as bad as it is to say, I think that he's one of those pieces that Carolina's could be looking to offload in a trade to get a legitimate 2C unless Stankoven works out. And in the situation that Stankoven does work out, then all of a sudden, I mean, if Nadeau comes in and he lights the world on fire, we still could be looking for a second line winger because now all of a sudden we don't have Stankoven to come in. I guess we have so many freaking wingers right now. We got Svechnikov, we got Blake, we got Jarvis, we got
Ehlers.
We got, Taylor Hall,
Taylor
we got
Hall,
George Martinook, we got William Carrier, we got. I mean, we got a plethora of guys that can play out on the wing, so it really is tough. And this is the unfortunate thing about being a successful team and still being able to draft and retain prospects as well as we are, is we start running into these situations. And it's one of those things where it's like either A, you have to offload a bunch of pieces and bring in somebody at a really high skill level, which I think we can get to that conversation here shortly as far as what that could possibly be. Or B, you have to really kind of look at, hey, who are my aging pieces in the roster right now and who needs to be the replacement for them, and how do we make sense of where they need to play? Because I agree with what you're saying, Dad, where it's like, does Bradley Nadeau playing fourth line benefit him more than him playing, first line minutes in the AHL? I don't think so. Personally, I think for a guy like Nadeau, with how young he still is, I'd rather him be playing 21, 22 minutes a night, getting first line power play reps, getting all of those reps that you should be getting at that age, over playing fourth line minutes, 6-7 minutes a night. We know Rod likes to roll his lines, but still, I mean, we saw it, and this is where, like, I think Rod has had a second thought about it, because we've seen him do that with Svech, and I don't think Svech has ever really panned out to where he could have been. And again, he's still young, he still has time. Same thing with KK. It doesn't mean KK can't be a second line center still, because when he's on, as we've all said it, when he's on, he's a very good hockey player. It's just an inconsistent nightmare with KK when it comes to that portion of it. But yeah, it's one of those, we have so many wingers, we have to offload somebody in order to bring somebody in. And unfortunately, with how Nadeau is progressing right now, he probably is one of those pieces that's probably going back to a team in order to bring in a really, really big name, i.e. a...
Yep, go there. Come on, go there, because that's where we're going next.
Yeah, i.e. a Kirill Kaprizov, where it's like, hey, if... And I'm still under the conception that Kaprizov's going to resign in Minnesota. He has never said anything negative about Minnesota. He's never said anything bad. He's never said he wanted to trade. He's never said he wanted out. I think Kaprizov wants the top dollar amount he can possibly get. I think Minnesota is going to be willing to give him that dollar amount at a certain point. Another thing to think about, too, is that after the season ends, if I remember the collective bargaining agreement correctly, because over the summer I went through the collective bargaining agreement, if I remember correctly, after the season expires, there's a 10-day window before July 1st where you start your new salary cap. And so with the salary cap going up another $7 million, I want to say, in money, you now, as Kaprizov, can take another, $1 million out of that for the 20% that you can make out of a max. So now all of a sudden right now, I think it's to take 20%, because it's just under $100 million. It's like $19.5 million would be the max contract that you can take, because you can only take up to 20% of your team's salary. Where as of next year, it's going to be over $100 million. So all of a sudden, a $20
Yeah.
million contract is in the book. So again, I'm still I with how everything has gone as far as where guys have signed and everything like that. Everything has been guys have been re-signing with their teams more and more and more. I just think Kaprizov's holding out because in reality, the contract that he got was not the contract I think he was expecting to get from Minnesota, which
Right.
was at 16.5, which still makes him the most expensive player in the NHL. But then another piece that's getting brought up with that as well too is it's like you don't want to be the first domino to fall. Because you got when we're talking a bunch of guys coming under contract that are up, where Connor McDavid's up for contract, you got Kirill Kaprizov up for contract, you got Jack Eichel up for contract, you got a lot of these big name guys up for contract. If you're the first domino to fall, well, you're setting the precedent for everybody else. So you don't necessarily want to be the first guy to fall, because then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I signed a 16.25 million. Well, now all of a sudden Jack Eichel got a 17.5, and it's like, well, I could have made I'm as good as Jack Eichel.
Selling
I could have
yourself
made
short.
Jack Eichel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I mean, and in reality, when you get to those top echelon guys, where like Kirill Kaprizov, if he stays healthy, he is an MVP caliber player. I mean, he was on pace to have 72 goals last season before he got injured.
I know.
Like he is an MVP caliber player. If he, and I'm not saying he's far off, but if he thinks, okay, I'm as good as Connor McDavid, well, what's Connor McDavid signing for? Because he hasn't re-signed with Edmonton yet. So that I think that's playing another role into it. I would be very shocked if Kaprizov does get moved out of Minnesota, but if he does, and if for some reason it is Carolina, that's one of the teams that's able to get him, which I'm assuming he's going to want to play for a contender. He's not going to want to go somewhere where he has to rebuild. And we're one of the only contenders that has a large enough salary cap with guys in place that we can move across as well too, that it makes sense that we can give him a big enough contract to where he's happy and content with it. But that would be one of those teams where it would be like a Svechnikov, it would be a Nadeau going, and then it'd probably be a couple draft picks and probably another prospect as well too, where maybe it's the Legault guy, unfortunately, but they like Minnesota, if they're going to get rid of Kaprizov, they're going to want to be able to fill out their lineup, because that's the one thing that Minnesota is struggling with a little bit right now is depth and depth scoring. And so them being able to fill out their lineup to make up for the points that Kaprizov's getting is what they're going to want in return, unless for some reason Edmonton's like, we can't sign McDavid. Minnesota's like, we can't sign Kaprizov. And Kaprizov's like, I'll go to Edmonton. And McDavid's like, I'll go to Minnesota. Then, okay, sure. 1-for-1. I think Minnesota would have to give up more to get McDavid in.
Yeah.
But that would be the only situation where I see them taking a big name with less coming back. But I think that if Minnesota takes a guy like Kaprizov, and he's going to have to be a multi-piece deal coming back, they're going to want to get younger. They're going to want to bring in younger guys. They're going to want to bring in more prospects with really promising futures. My fear is that in order to get a guy like Kaprizov in, and I don't want to say this because it's going to be like, it might have to be a Nikishin. Like, in reality, it might have to be that level of a player that we're having to give up in order to get that done.
But I mean, I get the points. I get, he's a 70 point. He could have been a 70 goal scorer. I get that. But at the same time, does he command the same dollars as a true number one center, or does he command that dollar value? I mean, if he is holding out because or do we want to give up all of those riches in a scoring prospect like Nadeau that we think is going to be a pretty legitimate goal scorer in the NHL at some point when he gets a chance?
He's going to cap out between 40 and 45.
Okay,
goals.
so
he's never. So that's the difference, is that Kaprizov's cap is like 75 goals, and that's those. I mean, there's two of them in the NHL that I can think of off the top of my head that are those guys, and that's another guy that's up for contract too, Austin Matthews. Those are the only two guys in my head that can actually put up 70 plus goals in a season. Is those two players, is Kirill Kaprizov and Austin Matthews.
But if we don't have a true number one center, we don't have a true number two center. I mean, we do, but he's playing number one. I mean, does he still produce at the same level? I mean, does he still do that?
Yeah, because he's doing it in Minnesota. Who's Minnesota's number one center?
Well, that's what I'm asking. I don't know.
No, I know, but
Yeah,
that's what I'm
I
saying.
don't actually know.
I don't
who it
actually
is.
know.
It's Cam. It's your favorite player.
I
Joel
thought he was
Eriksson
second
Ek.
line, but
Well, so it's either Joel Eriksson Ek or it's the young kid that I
Well,
can't
there's
think of his
Marco
name right
Rossi.
now.
He just
Yes,
re-signed.
so it's either
he
Marco
was
Rossi.
okay. So yeah,
It's
Eriksson
either
Ek's the
Marco
first
Rossi
line
or
center,
Joel
yeah.
Eriksson Ek. So it's
It's
one of those
definitely
two
Eriksson
guys.
Ek. Yeah,
So Eriksson Ek and Aho, I think, are on pace. Eriksson Ek
They're
is a
pretty
different type
similar.
of
Yeah.
player, but I think they're on pace as far as point production is
Mhm.
concerned. So Kaprizov's going to do what Kaprizov does. Kaprizov is a spitting image of Kucherov.
Oh yeah,
Kucherov,
no,
down in
he's
Tampa.
he's Kucherov 2.0.
he's
So,
like identical.
What
He
what
is, yeah.
what number are you giving Kucherov? Because I'm giving Kucherov whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah,
Prime Kucherov, yeah, I'll give him 20.
I'll give
Like,
him
for
whatever
real.
the hell he wants.
Like, I don't
because
care what he wants.
He should
Yeah.
be a four straight MVPs. If you go back to the
Yeah.
last 4 seasons, he has led the league in points for the last 4 seasons. The last time he didn't lead the league in points was when Connor McDavid put up 156 points in
Yeah.
a season.
I know.
yeah.
And who knows how much he's going to demand. Like, McDavid's going to, I mean,
The max they can
think
take is
about-
20%. So whatever 20, it's going to be 20 million because I think
Yeah,
the
but,
salary
like,
cap goes up to like
I mean, if you think
102.
about, yeah, if you're, well, first of all, I don't think McDavid resigns in Edmonton. I don't know if, I don't know what any of you guys think, but I think he's out. I think
I
he
think
gives
he
them
does.
probably a couple months and he's like, yeah, this ain't it. Like, we're not a contender this year. From his like preseason press conferences and everything, he is not.
Yeah.
He's basically like, I'm excited for this year. Like, this year this team is looking good. He hasn't really commented on anything
Mhm.
past this, and he's basically kind of brushed off like, we'll see what happens, that kind of thing, which is always an indicator that, he's looking for an out. The first sign of inconsistency with the team
Yeah.
or the team making a bad decision, he's out. And
I think
I don't blame him. And he can make a lot more money going to any of the American teams than he can with any of the Canadian teams.
100%
realistically.
agree with that
So,
portion.
Really doesn't matter about any of the American teams. I mean, other than maybe New York, California, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So
The only thing that I still think he signs, I think he signs like a 3 or 4 year deal in Edmonton. Because that'll bring him till he's 32 years old, 33 years old, somewhere in that range. That's when I think he might start
Is he in
ring
97?
chasing.
He is.
Yes, he's in 97.
Okay.
That's why he wears number 97.
well, learn something
Yeah,
new every day.
it's all the
Crosby
Crosby
thing, yeah.
Also,
Get it now.
the fact
All
that
right, I
Crosby's
understand
only
now.
making 8.7 million, I get it. It's a ritual. That's absolutely disgusting. That guy deserves
Yeah.
15,
deserves
20
20.
million. Good golly. But anyways, that's another guy who his agent came out and was basically saying like, we're going to see how this goes, but we might be looking for a deal because Crosby wants to play playoffs.
Wants another
But
cup.
anyways, going back to McDavid, the only reason his wife owns restaurants in Edmonton. His wife owns a realtor store, or whatever it's called in Edmonton.
Yeah,
as
real
well,
estate
too.
agency or something.
Yeah, she owns a lot of stuff in Edmonton currently. It's going to be hard to just completely uproot yourself from what's going on there. And in all reality, I think McDavid was a big factor in why Draisaitl re-signed. And so I don't think him and Draisaitl are best friends, like best buddies. I don't think you're going to see McDavid all of a sudden pull the rug out on Draisaitl when he just signed an 8-year contract last year and it doesn't kick in till this year. Pull the rug on him and be like, oh, yeah, I just made you sign an 8-year deal. Yeah, see you, buddy. Like, smell you later.
The thing with Edmonton, though, is that, I get that, but you got 2 guys that are making 50% of your salary cap.
4
Well,
guys.
basically, so then you got nothing left. I mean, you got no goal. You can't put a good goalie in there. I mean, I don't give a shit if you score 150 points. I mean, if you're going to lose 8-5 every flipping night, then it doesn't really matter. So
That's how he's
don't.
looking at it.
So
If I'm him,
that's how I'm looking at
it.
it.
The other thing too, outside of going to Florida, what is a better situation for him? Because I mean, they've made the past 2 Stanley Cups.
I don't disagree, but they're not going to win a cup if they focus all of their dollars spent on the top 4 guys or whatever it is.
Maybe a slightly hot take, but if they don't play Florida back-to-back years, I think they have one of those 2 cups.
Well, and I think that's the asterisk too, is I don't think this is even a question mark if Edmonton wins one of those 2 cups. They win one of the 2
Mhm.
years, I think he's already re-signed. It's not even a
Yeah,
question.
no, I
But
can,
that's
I
my
can,
thing is
I can see
That's
that.
the problem.
outside of going to Florida, where is he going to go that's going to give him a better opportunity to win than going to a team that just made back-to-back Stanley
Tampa?
Cup finals?
That's going to give him
But
the
does-
money.
But I mean,
Tampa?
Tampa lost in 4 the first year to Florida, and then lost in 5 last year to Florida.
No, I
Does-
understand, but I'm saying like if you're looking at it from just going off like your kind of synopsis of it is, obviously his family plays a huge part in it too.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, Florida has pretty good real estate. I mean, I could even see him like, as much as I hate the
I was gonna
Rangers,
say the
man,
Rangers.
I could see him playing the Rangers because they are literally going to strip that
Yeah.
team down to the bones after the
Yeah.
season, man. They are
But
going to
does
get rid
he-
of
he-
Zibanejad.
does
They're
he
going
wanna
to get rid of
go to a
Panarin. They're
rebuild?
going to get rid of everybody.
Yeah.
Does he want to go to
Everybody's
a
gone.
rebuild? Because you're not gonna the way
Yeah.
that the new contract system is set up and the way that the salary cap is boosting, there's not going to be a big free agency anymore. Teams have the
Yeah, I don't
money
think
to
so
sign
either.
their big name guys. We just saw it happen in Florida. We thought Florida was going to lose 2 of their big 3 that were up for signing. They kept all 3
Yeah.
of them. So there's not going to be a free agency. So if New York's going to strip their team down to the bones, which we all expect they're going to do, they need to do that in all reality.
They've had to do that. Yeah.
Why would if McDavid is so hell bent on winning, which is I think what the situation is, why is he going to go to a team that doesn't give him a chance to win? And he's not going to go to a New York because if they're going to strip it down to bare bones, they're not going to be able to rebuild through free agency. They're going to have to rebuild through trades and drafting. And their trade value is terrible right now. Panarin's doesn't hold a lot of value. He's 34 years old. He's not getting any younger. He's not like he just put up 140 points last year. I think he had 92 points or something like that last year. Adam Fox, the NHL is starting to figure out, hey, Adam Fox is a great defenseman, but is he really a Norris Trophy winning defenseman? Probably not. He won the 1 year, and outside of that, he really hasn't been inside of the conversation.
Yeah.
Igor Shesterkin is the one thing
Yep.
that'll get them anywhere close to the playoffs. And if they're going to go into a rebuild, he's the only one that holds any assets for him.
Yeah.
So it's like I think New York is
Yeah.
out of the picture for
I
Connor
think the other
McDavid.
team too that I think they may have to give up some assets, obviously, to clear some space. But I think the other place that fits him potentially was Dallas. I think they're a place that they would be an absolute juggernaut if they were to somehow work out a deal to free up space to get him into the lineup. Because if you're looking at a team that's top to bottom,
They can't even sign
I
Jason
understand.
Robertson right now.
I understand.
Yeah, that's the
I
problem.
understand, but
They have
Big one.
800,000 in
No,
salary
I
cap
get it.
space. So that means
Look, I'm-
okay. So what do
I
they have
don't
to
know.
give up?
That's the question. But they were
They have to give up Mikko
they would be a
Rantanen.
team.
They have to give up.
All I'm saying is that they would be a team that is just crazy enough to want to try to do something like this because they have elite goaltending. They have really exceptional defense, and up front they're deep as all get out. So you can afford to give up some of your front end depth to free up some cap space if you needed to. So I don't know, but all I'm saying is that's a team that I could see that he could see all the pieces in place for a legitimate cup run.
Yes, but what is Edmonton going to ask for in return for?
No, I know.
Connor
I
McDavid?
don't.
'Cause
I
the
don't. They're
number-
gonna have to give up a lot.
But that so hold on,
Well,
hold on.
depends.
The
If they're over the
number one
barrel,
thing,
I mean,
the number one thing they're going to ask for is goaltending. So if he's going to Dallas, is Jake Ottinger involved in that trade? Because
I mean,
what does Edmonton need? They need goaltending.
it would. For me, but again, it just depends because again, McDavid controls this whole
He does.
situation. Like it's all up to McDavid. So if it comes, March, what is trade deadline? March 15th, I think, is like the trade
Yeah.
deadline. If it's March 14th and McDavid
They
hasn't
can't let him go
re-signed,
for nothing. Yeah.
that's what I mean. So they're gonna take draft picks, man. They're not gonna just like be like, you got to give me the farm. It's like, no, they're gonna take what they can get. Realistic, if they're out of a playoff spot by even a couple points, they're like, yeah, we'll, give us a couple, a first round pick, a second, and a fifth or something. They'll get rid of them.
Edmonton's not going to be outside of a playoff spot. I mean, they didn't lose.
I mean, I
a
don't
lot
think
of pieces.
McDavid will let them be outside of a playoff spot.
They
So
still have the 2 best players in the world on the same team. Like it's Connor
don't
McDavid and
disagree.
Leon Draisaitl. They're going to be in a playoff spot. So they're going to try and add pieces at the deadline to try and, again, solidify it. So even if March 15th comes around or whatever trade deadline day is, they're going to be in a hunt. And if they think the only way they can keep Connor McDavid is winning a Stanley Cup, I don't think they're going to go out of their way to trade Connor McDavid away when they're, I mean, if you have the best player in the world in your system, you're going to do absolutely everything you can to keep him inside of your system. So they're going to go buy the farm. They're not going to be outside of a playoff spot. I tell you, the Pacific is not good enough.
Yeah, that's a good question. Do you think, and I know we're kind of getting off the rails here,
Way off the Canes.
Do you think the team Edmonton has now can go to the Cup final like the past two teams have? With the team, the roster they have now,
yes.
Do you think they
got younger? They got younger. They got quicker. They offloaded Arvidsson. They offloaded Jeff Skinner. They're still looking to offload Darnell Nurse, which would be a massive contract off the books, and I still think that that's still an option to do. I think teams would still be open to taking Darnell Nurse, maybe at a 50% retained salary, sure, but then you're still getting back $4.5 million back, so that opens up the leverage a little bit. The Evan Bouchard contract is what really fucked them over. In all honesty, that Bouchard contract is the dumbest thing they've ever signed. But like, I don't see a world where, yes, McDavid does control his destiny, but unless he goes into the GM's office and is like, I want to trade, they're not going to trade him because they're going to be in a playoff spot.
They do either.
Yeah.
But I also think that they would be caught over the barrel and not have him resign, kind of like Toronto was a Marner, you know? I think that's, especially, do they have any leverage with trade with McDavid in his current contract, or does he have like no trade clause?
The players usually have all of the leverage, so he has a full no move clause.
Does he have a full no move? Okay,
yes,
if that's the case,
he gets
then
to pick where he's going.
Yeah, if that's the case, Edmonton's really kind of, stuck themselves really far over the barrel here. They don't really have a choice.
I think he signs a 1, maybe 2 year. I think between a 2 and 4 year deal, he signs it because at the end of the day, again, he just built a brand new, beautiful house in Edmonton. His wife has so many ties to Edmonton. They're best friends with Leon, the Dreisaitl's, him and his wife. They're best friends. Like it's hard to pull out of that kind of a situation. I get McDavid wants to chase it.
Yeah, he wants that big jug. 100%. That's for sure. So.
But is Connor McDavid at 32 going to be significantly worse than Connor McDavid right now? I don't think so. I think Connor McDavid is that special type of freak athlete that no matter what, he's gonna be like Sidney Crosby, where Sidney Crosby at the age of 39 years old still put up 90 points last season. Like
still like top 5 centerman in the NHL. Get out of here.
He's
crazy.
Still unbelievable.
Yeah. Think about it though, from the perspective of the players, and I know, like I said, I know we're on Edmonton for some reason, but I think we're talking about
we are
needing a 2C and who's available, and who we don't want to jump the boat on Kaprizov with the Canes, but think about if he does sign like a 2-year bridge deal or something real short term. I mean, what does that send as a message to the rest of the team? I mean, does he believe or not believe that we have the ability to do what we need to do to get to the Cup? I mean, if you're signing,
depends on the contract he signs.
Yeah.
If he if he signs, I don't know a world that he does this, but if he signs a duplicate contract of what he has right now, which I think is at 12 and a half.
I think he signs 12 and a half. Yeah.
If he signs a 3-year deal at 12.5 million, well, all of a sudden, I think they go up the salary cap.
I think they keep going to the Cup final. Yeah.
Darnell Nurse comes off the books. You open up another $9 million, and now all of a sudden you can solve a lot of those issues.
I agree.
He has said openly he wants to win in Edmonton.
I agree, and I think you're 100% right. If they can't spend all their money on 2 or 3 players, and I think that if he does that, and he signs, say if he were to come back and sign a long-term deal, because I think isn't Draisaitl at 12.5? Or 13?
No, Draisaitl's at 14. No, he's at like 14 or 15. I think he's at 14.
Yeah. So if he does, he comes back at that and says, "Okay, I'm in, and I'm going to make sure." Sort of almost the Crosby approach. Quite honestly, it's like
Crosby's making $8.7 million.
But he could be, whether that's superstitious or not. I think he understands.
He's a $20 million player.
I know, but if at the end of the day, he's hockey first, dollars second. And I think that's pretty evident that chasing the money for him, whether he has 20 million or 8 million, he's still doing okay. And I think that's in his mind, that's what he wants. And he wants to put the best product on the ice. And I think if McDavid were to do that, then he sends the message saying, look, I believe in us because I'm going to make sure that we have the opportunity to backfill and save money and spend money in the right places and get the people we need to get in here to make sure that we do win a cup here. So I agree. I hadn't thought about it like that, but if he does sign a bridge deal at a lower number, then that maybe sends more belief than if he were to sign a bridge deal at 20 million for 2 years.
Yeah,
I mean,
he could do that too.
anything shy of 16 and a half, like anything in that 16 and a half and under range, like that is him leaving money on
Yeah.
the table. Because in all reality, he could out eat that he is one of few players that the owner gives blank check to and says, you write your number down and we will sign it. That's one of those guys.
We'll give you the Kawhi Leonard treatment. Like,
Yeah.
we'll give you like whatever sponsorship you want. We'll pay you under the table. We'll pay you through whatever companies you want. We'll pay you $90 million. Like, we don't care. But
They'll make shell companies up. They don't care.
they will. They literally make everything up. Like, yeah. And I don't disagree. I mean, it really just depends on what he wants to do. But yeah, I mean, I think if he does like a sweetheart bridge deal of like the contract he's on now with the salary cap where it's going, they got a shot. But Kyle, like you even said it earlier, it's really hard in free agency to sign guys because everybody's just re-signing the good guys that they have. So it's really hard to build out a free agency, and they don't have a good prospect pool.
No,
their prospect
that is where
pipeline
they struggle.
stinks.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of his problem too, is he's like, yeah, like, we might be able to, and I think he's seeing it like this too, is like free agency is getting harder and harder to build out of, and we don't have a prospect pool.
Yep.
Like, it stinks. It's awful. It's really bad.
Yeah.
The one nice thing is though, is that yes, the prospect pool and free agency is starting to sink now, but any big name free agent that does come up on the market, if they have an opportunity to play with Connor McDavid, they're going to want to go play with Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Like, there's few guys in the NHL where they have that much pull. He has that much pull. It's just they haven't had the salary cap in order to go out and get guys. They've had to add depth pieces where they need, sure, they have $8.5 million in salary cap going into free agency, but they also need a whole third line. They need a fourth line, and they need like a depth defenseman. It's like, okay, well, now all of a sudden we have to space that $8.5 million out between those 7 guys, where if they are able to get, let's say, 20 million on the books, and they can go spend $9-10 million on a player. Well, all of a sudden now a lot more free agents are like, hey, I'm going to not only get the money, but I'm going to be able to get to play with Connor McDavid too. Yeah, I'm in. That's fine.
I know. I'm with you. You're 100% right. So let's get back on the Canes. I think we kind of hammered that one a little bit deeper than we wanted to go to, but I think, I guess we'll kind of wrap this up. I know been a long weekend for, I guess, mostly for you, Kyle, but for the rest of us, we've had a pretty long weekend as well. But so Canes tomorrow night, open preseason. They got the Lightning in town, and then I think Tuesday they're off. Wednesday they're back at home again. Their second game at home for the preseason. So I don't know that I necessarily. I don't look too much at preseason games. I just look at what people do. I look what players do, how they perform in situations. I mean, does a scoreboard mean anything in a preseason game? I guess my general question.
No.
Yeah, for me either.
Generally.
Yeah, me either. Because a lot of people, that's how they gauge the success of teams is that, how did they do? What the only gauge they have is the scoreboard. So, I just hope for those that are listening, don't know the game, look at the game, watch the game, and just look at what players are doing. I know this kind of goes back to when where coaches will tell you, and Kyle, this, KM, this too, is like watch what players do away from the puck, and see what they do, because that really tells you how much they know about the game and how well they're playing as a teammate versus playing for themselves. So scoring a lot of goals in preseason is cool, but did you also were you a -6 on the plus minus chart? So you got to make sure that you're balancing your game out. So it'll be interesting to see what some of the younger kids do, for sure.
we could go 0-6 in
Yeah,
preseason.
doesn't
We're still a
matter.
playoff team. Like it doesn't make a difference. And as we spoke about earlier, it's one of those things where you look at our lineup versus I haven't seen what Tampa's lineup is going into the game. I don't know who their beat writer would be, so I guess I have to go find that. But presuming that they're going to be playing a lineup with most of their NHL guys in it, like you're expecting these rookies to come in against these seasoned veterans. I mean, you're playing against arguably one of the, in my opinion, probably top 3 players in the world right now in Nikita Kucherov if he is in that lineup.
Yeah.
But like sure, yeah, maybe you have a good game against them, but in reality, these guys are like, if it is like it was last year where they play their top dogs game 1, like we're playing rookies. Like like they're gonna make mistakes. They're gonna make bad turnovers. It's the same thing that happens in rookies in regular season. They make mistakes, and it's one of those things you have to learn off of those mistakes because the NHL is a different league. You know, and we can harp on it as much as we want to, but like even guys like you see guys light up the world in the AHL and then they make the jump into the NHL and it doesn't stick for them. And it's because the NHL is that much better than every other league.
Yeah.
It's that much better. It's a different animal. It's a different beast. You're playing against the best players in the world night in, night out. So I don't look too much into it. And then on top of that, you're playing with other guys that are in the same boat that you are in. And where, you hop into a regular season game, well, all of a sudden your line mates aren't, no shade to these guys, but, they're not Felix Unger-Sorum and Noel Gunler. Your line mates are Sebastian Aho and Nikolai Ehlers. It's like, yeah, no, that makes it a little bit easier because those guys have done it. They've been there. They know what to do. They know the positions to be in, and they can cover for those mistakes. Where if you're playing with 3 rookies, a lot of times if you're making a mistake, someone else is probably also making a mistake too. And then all of a sudden there's a lot of open ice, a lot of open space, and a lot of areas to get exposed. Don't look at the scoreboard. If you want to watch the games, watch the games. If whatever the scoreboard happens to be, it happens to be. We win, great. Doesn't mean we're winning the cup. We lose, great. Doesn't mean we're a lottery team. Doesn't make a difference. I promise you.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing too especially with
the Buffalo Sabres went 6-0 last year in preseason. So
well, I know, like I was gonna use the example. I know it's not the same sport, but I'm pretty sure the Carolina Panthers in the NFL went undefeated in preseason last year. It's like, yeah, but they only won 2 games the whole year. So it really doesn't matter, man. Like you said, it really doesn't matter that much. I would say if you're gonna look at something, look at the guys who win this on the forward side, look at the guys who win board battles consistently. And for the defensive side, look at the guys who are just, you want to, and I know it's hard to do. You look at the guys that you don't notice, I guess. Look at the guys that aren't making big mistakes. Look at the guys that are just being wet blankets. Because you can teach, to an extent, you can teach the offensive side a little bit. But if you teach, you can't, it's hard to teach like anticipation. And, hey, this is kind of the position you need to be in to be able to intercept this puck or do this when the puck's dumped into your end. How do you break it out? Like, what position do you need to be in to break the puck out? Like, based off of how they're forechecking. There's a lot of that anticipatory stuff that, you might not notice the guy, but you're like, okay, I didn't hear like, oh, this turnover caused a goal. If you don't hear their name in that context, then they probably play
especially
pretty well.
on the D side, especially on the defensive side.
Especially for the defensive side. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I would say that we'll kind of wrap here, but my final comments are, I was listening to an interview that Rod did and he made a good point. I hadn't really thought about it, but he has less players now that to indoctrinate into his system than he did last year. I call it new players that are really, we'll call them lineup players, that are going to be in the lineup, like Nikolai Ehlers and Keandre Miller. And there's maybe, I think that's really probably it. But
and you can throw Nikishin.
Well, Nikishin, tomato. But I think, he doesn't have a large number of players like he did last year. He said last year, I think we had about 8 guys that in training camp, we had to make sure they learned the system quickly. Whereas this year they can spend a lot more time, which is why I think Nikishin's going to be his learning curve is going to accelerate substantially because he's going to get a lot more one-on-one focus time than than anybody did last year when it came to the new guys learning the new systems and things like that. So I think I don't know about you guys, but based on the team and the acquisitions and the willingness of the front office to shoot for the fences, I think this is I'm the only question mark, and we'll talk about it next week, is goaltending. But I think everything else they've swung for the fences, and I think we're gonna have a pretty good run and shot at winning that jug at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Gotta get through Florida.
Yeah, no, I agreed 100%. So
that's the benchmark. Yeah.
Anyways, final thoughts. Anybody got anything before we sign off?
Canes still have $10.5 million in salary cap space, so I don't see a world where we don't utilize that at some point during the season. And one of the names that has been floating around, I'm not taking any sort of stance on this or whether it's a good signing, bad signing, anything like that, but Carter Hart's name is still available, and if we're looking at goaltending, he's arguably the best on-ice capability goaltender available. Again, does Carolina want to go through the media circus of what's going to happen with that? I don't know. Do they want to deal with the fan base on how they're going to react to that? I don't know. Do I like the signing? I don't know. He hasn't played hockey in 2 years, but his name has still been floating around, and it's still one of those that he's available. And I mean, if Carolina does take a stab at it, does it solidify our goaltending position? I think maybe a little bit more than where we're at currently. But also, Caden Primo's still not. I shouldn't say. I don't know how old he is now.
Well, he's your age.
Into his later 20s.
Yeah,
he's my age.
But he's in 99, so he's 25, 26.
Yeah. So I mean, can he take a step forward into being that third guy? Maybe. But I think that's like, we know Freddie's going to go down at some point this year, so we need to make sure we have our goaltending at least 3 spots deep. And then does Kochetkov take that step forward into being a true number one goaltender? I don't know. That's, he's still one of those guys where he still has some I guess rope as far as the potential goes. I'll say he still has a little bit of that rope in, he still has
it definitely getting shorter.
It's getting shorter.
It's getting shorter every year. We've given him a lot since we started this. We've had a lot of rope on him, and this, to me,
this is his year. This has got to be. This is the year. He's got to.
It has to be
either gonna,
because if he doesn't take that step forward, the Canes are going to either sign a big name goalie or they're going to try and trade for somebody or something that it's going to be their number one. Because
I guess a good way to end this would be, what would be your benchmark to say Kochetkov had a good year? Like, what are the numbers? What are the wins? What are we looking at? What's your telltale sign? Like, hey, that's he either is at the end of the season our number one guy, or like he still has everything it takes to be that number one guy. Because I don't disagree with you guys. I'm just more curious as to what your benchmark is.
I mean, I'll go first, Kim. I think for me, it's the numbers obviously have to be there. He has to, 900 plus on the save percentage. Let's just go analytically. And I think he's got to be at or under, maybe under 2 on the goals against. But I think the biggest
under 2, that's a Vezina winner.
I understand. Well, you asked me if he needs to be a number 1, and I think he needs to be in that range. Maybe he's 2.2, 2.5. Let's say 2.5. They'll give him a little bit of rope. But the biggest thing for me though is how does he play in those really tight games and makes those saves? Because I don't know if you can track that. I don't think there's analytics for it. But
there is. It's goals above expected.
But those are the things that I think, in order for him to be an elite goaltender, he has to take that step forward, and he has to. I know we talked about it throughout the playoffs. He has to be able to make the save. When we need him to make a save, he has to be able to make that one. And I think that's, for me, that would be the gauge point. If he consistently makes those saves that wins us hockey games, then he has taken a step forward and proven that he deserves to be a number 1 going forward. So that, for me, that's
it. Just curious, if he has like let's say like a 900 flat with like a 273 goals against, but he's got 48 wins on the
Yeah.
season. Like, is
That-
that
for
is
me?
that
That's
a-
okay. I think the analytics for me are the numbers on the front end. As long as we're winning hockey games and he's keeping us in opportunities to win hockey games, then and we win hockey games. I mean, a 48 win season, absolutely. I'm on board.
Not that I think he would play that many games, but yeah.
You never know,
Yeah.
but I would be on board.
Yeah, I think it's tough because it's hard to gauge goalies with Carolina just because of how many shots they don't give
Mhm.
up every game.
Oh.
And it's hard to find, and I think we've kind of been treated to this with Freddie, where it's just like it doesn't matter if there's 5 shots or 50 shots in the game. It feels like Freddie's always in it. Like he's always there. Like when when he's on, because he just is on. Like he just makes the
Worse
saves when
numbers
you
than
need to.
Kochetkov last year.
No, I know, but I'm saying like in general, like even through
Yeah.
the playoffs and stuff, you've seen Freddie just be like, even if they have 15 shots against, like he's still there. Like he's focused, he's in there. If Kochetkov saw 15 shots in the playoffs, he'd probably letting up 3 goals. Like I'm gonna be real honest, like he is. So I think that's the step he needs to take, is just even in a low shot game, he needs to find a way to make himself be into the game early and often and constantly. For me, for him, I mean, it's going to have to be like, I mean, last year, I think he had an 899. Like, I'm pretty sure he was like right at almost 900 for the year.
893 because Freddie had an.
Was it an
889?
893? Okay. So with that, I'd say a 905 save percentage and probably right around that 2.5. If I can see that from him, he's probably keeping the Canes in most of the games he's playing. So I'm not going to, think the world of him and say, he needs to have a 910 and a 2.0. Like, I'm not saying that. Like, that's
No, but if he does
that's
that,
so
that's
hard to find.
solidified.
I mean, if
the
he does
issue.
that, then
Yeah.
sign him whatever he wants to get
Yeah.
paid. Like, sign him.
That's a
But
solidified the issue
that's
kind of word.
that's the number one. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, he's had a lot of rope, so I think, and I think we said this last year too, where it's like, this is the year he's got to step up, and it's like, well, now really it's like he's getting out of that realm of having the cushion of like, oh, he's still really young and everything. It's like, no,
we mean it this year, right? We mean it this year.
I'm finger wagging at him now. I'm like, I
is-
really mean it. Like, come on.
This is, I think, the second to last year of his contract, which granted his contract is pennies, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
But yeah, I agree with you. I think anything above a 900 save percentage,
I think
25,
that's
30 plus wins. If he has double the amount of wins as losses, that's a really good benchmark for
I would
me.
agree.
So because I just don't know how many games he's going to play.
Mhm.
Because if Freddie's healthy all year, which would be a
Miracle.
miracle,
that would be.
But if he is healthy all year, he probably splits the net with Freddie. So if he's only playing 41 games in a season, then it's like, okay, it's kind of hard to say, he needs to have a 40-win season. Well, he can lose one then.
Yeah.
So just double the amount of wins as losses. And then on top of that, I agree, makes the big save. But all right, final trivia question. Sorry, I just remembered this as we were talking, and then I actually have to go. But what goalie last year for Carolina had the highest save percentage?
Oh,
I mean, Spencer Martin had a shutout, didn't he? And he only started like 4 games,
Yeah.
so he's got to be close, because I don't think Fred or Kochetkov had above a 900. So I don't really know, unless it
Going
was
Spencer Martin?
Karski.
What?
it was Spencer Martin.
No, I'm saying, are you going
let's
Spencer
go
Martin?
there, because I don't really.
I'll go
I don't think
Spencer
there's. I
Martin.
don't remember who else could have had that kind of performance.
Justin Tokarski.
Oh, really?
It was Tokarski.
Oh.
Yeah, Tokarski had a
played 2 games,
904 save percentage in his
Yeah.
2 games as a
Hmm.
Carolina Hurricane.
Oh,
So
small
all right,
sample
I
size.
gotta
Yeah.
go.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say it's not a big
Yeah,
one, but
so-
yeah, I mean,
all right. Well, we'll sign off there, Canes, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. preseason game number 1 at the Lenovo Center. So we should get a good look at some of the younger prospects. And but until next week, for Cam, Kyle, and myself, have a great week.